Okay, this will be my last word on the Ameenakin issue, because I'm getting pretty sick of the controversy, and I'm sure you are too. Firstly, thanks to all those who actually watched the joint video and sent messages of support. I'm glad you understood why it was made and what I was trying to say. To those who didn't understand what I was saying, I'll explain again. If you watch the video, you'll see I complain about the fact that 2 of my videos were removed through the false filing of a DMCA. I'm complaining because Amina's Muslim supporters came onto my channel whining that my video attacked Islam when it did no such thing. But these are just peripheral to the main complaint I wanted to express in the joint video, which was that a few of my supporters responded to the whines with inflammatory racist attacks and pornographic insults. As I pointed out, they're a tiny minority. But despite our differences, Amina and I jointly say that's not acceptable. So if some of my subscribers think I've now given up my ideals in order to promote some new agenda of tolerance and freedom of thought, then you're wrong. These have always been my ideals, as I spelled out 3 years ago in the video One Atheist Creed. At the time, it was applauded by my subscribers. I can't remember a single negative comment, except from creationists who still insisted that atheists have no morals. Everyone seemed to agree with my principles of freedom of religion, freedom from religion, and tolerance of beliefs. So how have I caved in, hit the back pedal, and sold out? Potholer 54 sold out by posting this video and therefore giving Ameenakin a forum. But the whole point was to have a joint video showing our united opposition to bigotry that would be shown on both of our channels. Amina's views on religion and free speech are polar opposite to mine, but our joint video wasn't even trying to reconcile those differences. We were showing that despite our differences, we were united in urging people not to use our dispute to further racism and bigotry. Her religious views are no secret, and I didn't expect them to change. Surely people on this channel don't need to be protected from them. You're all grown-ups who can listen to someone with whom you disagree, and I have an open forum where you're free to criticize her point of view as much as you like. On Amina's channel, of course, most criticism is blocked. I wasn't endorsing this. Anyone is free to send any critical message they like, arguing against someone else's point of view, but not to the point of being racist or abusive. As I said, only a tiny minority did this, and I'm surprised some people don't get the distinction. The sad fact is that nearly all creationist websites block critical comments. It's a travesty, but I can't do anything about that. What I can do is operate a completely open forum on my channel. You're free not only to criticize Amina, but also Islam and any of the ridiculous things Muslims say. I do the same thing, and it's called free speech. So I don't know where people get the idea that I'm suddenly opposed to this, or that I've somehow apologized for it. What I pointed out was that I draw the line at blatant and gratuitous racism. I removed 3 posts from my Salute to Creationist Women video forum from 2 different users. By comparison, I've only removed 5 gratuitously offensive comments against Christians and racist posts from all of my other videos over the last 5 years. So 3 is a lot for one video, and the difference in content between these and the other posts I removed was chilling. One of the main reasons I dislike religion is that it encourages the mass slaughter of adherents of other religions. Atheists should be above that kind of barbarity because we have no religion to defend. So I hoped I would have your support in first blocking these messages and then standing up against the kind of bigotry they represent by taking the extraordinary step of making a joint video with someone I'm in contention with. I'm used to being blasted by creationists. It's like being savaged by a dead sheep. But when I'm blasted by atheists over an issue where we ought to have common ground, then I begin to wonder about whether I'm in tune with a lot of people who subscribe to this channel. Of course, I knew people wouldn't agree with a lot of what Amina said. I told her that it would be challenged, and I'm glad to see that many of you did challenge it. But the hostile opposition to what I said took me completely by surprise. Reading some of the messages, I'm not even sure if people were really listening to what I said. I've looked back over my script, and I can't find anywhere where I said Islam was a race. Someone was so desperate to insist that I did, he even made up a quote, put quotation marks around it, and attributed it to me. And this, I've asked Potholer multiple times if he agreed that there's no coercion in Islam. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised at not receiving a reply. Well, Jedi, you may well have asked multiple times, but since my time zone isn't the same as yours, and since I didn't see any of your messages until 24 hours after you'd started posting them, I wasn't aware that you'd asked. But since you did ask, I wrote out a very clear answer, and then decided not to post it, because I find your persistent demands for an answer McCarthyite and accusatory. I've been making videos on science and religion for about 5 years now, and you should know what my views are. So what now? Ameenakin is no longer eligible for a golden crocoduck because she accepts her mistake and has even withdrawn the offending video. Whether you believe that's sincere or complete is a matter of debate, but I can't ascribe motivation. I can only go by the rules I've set. There was a similar situation in 2008 when I renamed the Stone Commander Defiance in Ignorance Prize. Stone Commander was the guy who scornfully said we can't explain why all the planets are round. But after he accepted his mistake, I made a video announcing that I'd take his name off the prize, and then I withdrew the video I'd made deriding him. All my subscribers who wrote in supported that decision. There were no suggestions that I was caving in or mollycoddling Stone Commander. I've also been contacted by a couple of Golden Crocoduck nominees over the years after I featured them in videos, and I explained that if they accepted they made a mistake, then I'd have to withdraw their nominations. After all, I make mistakes on my channel, and it would be unfair to categorize them as deliberate lies once I've corrected them. But neither creationist accepted. I didn't mention this get-out clause to Amina. She retracted and closed down her video of her own free will, without any demands from me. She hasn't retracted her beliefs, but then neither did Stone Commander. I'm not out to force people to recant their religion. I'm simply opposed to the teaching of scientific fallacies. If they recognize the fallacy and retract it, that's fine. I'm not going to twist the knife and insist on drawing blood. If I apply the rules equally, then regardless of her gender or religion, Ameenakin is off the ballot. But of course there are now going to be accusations that this is favoured treatment because she's a Muslim, or I've done a deal, or I'm worried about getting shot by terrorists. Given the risks I've run as part of my professional career, reporting on people whose suffering would otherwise go unnoticed by the world, I find these accusations of cowardice particularly insidious. But with her off the ballot, it means we're just left with Christian contenders for the award. Now, that's never been an issue before, because no one cared what religion these nominees adhered to, as long as they were creationists who fulfilled the criteria of the Golden Crocoduck. In fact, we've only ever had 2 Muslim contenders for the award, because they rarely get nominated. But there was never any accusation that this meant I was caving in or going soft. Now it seems this is going to be an issue. The Golden Crocoduck is supposed to be fun. I don't care if creationists don't find it fun. Of course they don't. It's making fun of them. But if even my own subscribers no longer see this as a bit of fun, but part of some religious war they think I'm fighting on their behalf, then it's better if I scrap the contest this year. It's a shame because the voting video is ready to go. It was supposed to have gone out 2 days ago, and someone has very kindly set up the voting website. But I'm not going to turn a light-hearted jocular event into a fight over who's eligible, and whether the lack of any Muslims means that I've caved. The suspension of the Golden Crocoduck will give me the chance to do a Captain Oates. I've always read your messages and answered questions, but with a backlog piling up over this issue, I'll take a break from that too.